welcome to the March 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Southampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held via video conferencing pursuant to Chapter 1 of the laws of 2022. And until further notice, all of the board's meetings will be held remotely. So we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. There are also options on the website for public comments and to pre-register to speak on public hearings. So please consider that for all future meetings. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website. If you wish to be heard during the meeting, but did not pre-register, please go to the town's meeting portal, choose the meeting group from the drop-down on the left, and you will find the information required to join the Zoom meeting. With that, I'd ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will be starting this meeting with the public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. Charles Certain will mute the speakers until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you are having difficulties accessing the hearings, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, there are a few public hearings that will be adjourned this evening, so please listen to hear when they will be rescheduled for. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Typically, the board will hold members of the public to a 3-minute time limit for their comments, so please be mindful of this. Further, board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and will be removed from the meeting until the end of the hearing. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, all of these applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until March 18th, 2022. Those comments can be addressed to the board secretary, Candace, and sent via email, mail, and/or dropped off at town hall. Would next ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly, Ms. Byrne,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Minutes are approved. Now I have a motion. I would ask for a motion to do for an amendment to the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second. Second.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And a couple of things before we get started. I want to congratulate Helen on her reappointment to the ZBA. I forgot to do it the other.
No, you did it. You did it.
Oh, we did it
last time, Adam. You did
Okay,
it.
well, congratulations again. And
Thank
Mike as well. And Anthony, thank you for joining us.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Okay, and now we were on to adjournments.
Okay. Item 2 on the agenda, which is Third Garden Park Limited Partnership, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-289-2-9 and 900-251-1-3. Move to adjourn that. Oh, you want me to read the whole thing, right? Applicant appeals to September 13, 2021 determination of the chief building inspector as provided in Town Code 330-165A. Appeals on interpretation of zoning law and map. In that the relocation of 25 manufactured homes from Suffolk County Tax Map 900-289-2-9 to Suffolk County Tax Map 900-251-1-3 and the addition of square footage to existing homes is considered an expansion of a non-conforming use pursuant to Town Code 330-167. If the board agrees with the chief building inspector's determination, applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-167B1A for an expansion of a non-conforming use.
Board has jurisdiction.
I'll move to adjourn this application to our April 21st meeting.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 4 on the agenda, SGM Excavating LLC and Max Masonry Supply Yard LLC, 110 and 154 North McGee Street in Tuckahoe, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-129-2-19.1 and 19.2. Applicant appeals the issuance of notices of violation issued by the Office of the Fire Marshal dated September 13th, 2021 and September 27th, 2021, as provided in Town Code 330-165A. Appeals on interpretation of zoning law and map, which allege violations of Town Code 330-177A and Town Code 123-4 for change of use and failure to obtain building permits and certificates of occupancy for trailers on the premises.
Board has jurisdiction.
I'll move to adjourn this application to our May 5th meeting.
Second. Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 5 on the agenda, Sandland Corp. in Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-23-1-1. At this
Yep.
point, I yield to the chair.
Okay, I have a resolution ready related to this application that has been on our calendar for a very, very long time. Whereas this is the matter of the application of Stanland Corp., application number 1600135, property located at 585 Middle Line Highway in Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-23-11. Whereas on June 23rd, 2016, Brian Matthews, Esquire of Matthews, Kirsten Cooley, PLLC, filed an application on behalf of the applicant seeking an appeal of the issuance of certificate of occupancy number C160135, dated April 26, 2016, as it relates to the uses on the subject premises and any other relief necessary. And whereas a public hearing was advertised and scheduled to be first heard on October 6, 2016, wherein the applicant failed to provide notice in accordance with Southampton Town Code 330-164 H2 and 4. Therefore, at the request of the applicant, the application was continually re-advertised throughout the course of the next few years. And whereas the board adopted a policy on June 17, 2020, many policies, one of which required that the board must obtain jurisdiction over a matter and testimony must be presented within 6 months of the notice of the first public hearing, or the application at the discretion of the board may be deemed abandoned. And whereas on March 18, 2021, the board notified the applicant that it would be their final opportunity to provide notice, and the matter was scheduled for September 2nd, 2021. However, the board was thereafter advised by the Southampton Town Attorney's Office that an additional extension was appropriate, and the matter was set forth for March 3rd, 2022. And whereas at the March 3rd, 2022 meeting, being tonight's meeting, jurisdiction was not obtained as the applicant had again failed to properly notice the application. Now therefore be it resolved, the application of Sandland Corp., application number 1600135, is hereby deemed abandoned.
Second.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
chair votes aye.
All right. Item 6, item 7, and item 8. I will move that we adjourn those 3 applications to our March 17th meeting.
Second.
Second.
Mr.
Oh,
Tudhill,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly, did you say you had a,
I'm-
your
On all three.
recused? Okay, all right, thank you. Chair votes aye.
Okay, on the decision calendar, William Owen and Neil Owen, I'm gonna move to reopen for a discussion.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
chair votes aye. It is reopened. So,
Okay,
the re-
so,
I'm
okay.
sorry, go ahead. You can go ahead. Katie.
Oh, okay. Just, we're reopening this. If you remember the public hearing on this, this was the application for a proposed accessory apartment addition to an existing garage with the existing house having a variance to be small. I think it was like 1,000 square feet. One of the questions before the board was whether it was an accessory subordinate structure in comparison to the existing house. There was a discussion before the board as to what the size was. Lisa Zaloga was the agent, and I think she had tried to put the numbers together at the table, and I think she came up with 89%, but she just submitted today the numbers that the proposed, the existing garage with the proposed additions with the apartment now exceed the size of the house. Remember, the house was like 1,000 square feet. I think total the size of the garage with the accessory apartment is 1,397. So I just wanted to find out if the board was okay with that, or if you want to bring them back to discuss it. The written submission kind of itemizes, how big everything is, but because we just got it, I wasn't sure how the board wanted to proceed.
Yeah, and I just want to mention as well, I don't recall, first of all, during the public hearing, we didn't get a sense that the number was over. And I don't recall us as a board ever granting an accessory structure when it is actually larger than the primary structure with relief for that. I don't remember us ever having done that. And I'm a no vote if that's the case.
And I'm a no vote.
Yeah.
And I would like to, I'm at this point a no vote, but I would like to rehear it.
Mhm.
What is there to rehear?
Yes?
I would agree with Susan. If they want to pursue it, I would want to rehear it.
Here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too, but
Agreed.
I have real problems here, and I'm a no vote unless they convince me otherwise, which
Okay,
I don't
so-
think they will unless this changes. So,
All right, so the motion before the board would be to reopen it for further testimony. Probably 317, if she can't do that the next meeting, but I would shoot for 317.
okay, well, I have the lead on the application. I'll move that we adjourn the application of Owen for all purposes for further testimony until our March 17th meeting.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
chair votes aye.
Okay, the following decisions, I'm gonna move to adjourn them to our 317 meeting. Joseph and Maria Ricciardi, Thomas and Julie Crowley, Grant Werner. And that's my motion for those.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, continuing on the
Mr. Secretary, going to ask to move, also move Drew Fine to 317.
Nope,
Alright.
I have that one. Nope.
Oh, do you? Oh, good, good. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on. Now we have, gonna move to reopen Gwendolyn Brewer to accept written submissions.
Second,
Mr. Tuthill,
All right,
Mr. Daly,
aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Kelly, Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, reopen.
and now I'll move to close it for determination this evening.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed?
Alice Greenwald. I'll move to reopen this to accept written submissions.
Second,
Mr. Tuthill,
All right,
Mr. Daly,
aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, reopen.
and now I'll move to close it for a determination later this evening.
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed?
RCF Properties LLC, I'll move to reopen this to accept written submissions.
Second,
Mr. Tuthill,
All right,
Mr. Daly,
aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, reopen.
all right, and then I'll move to close RCF Properties and have a determination later this evening.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Okay, 95 Inlet Road West LLC. I'm gonna move to adjourn that to our 4/7 meeting.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Okay, 85 Eastway LLC. I'll move to reopen this application to accept written submissions.
Second,
Mr. Tuthill,
All right,
Mr. Daly,
aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
and now I'll move to close it for a determination later this evening.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, Kenneth Seif and Nicole Cool-Seif. I'll move to reopen this to accept written submissions.
second,
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye,
Mr. Daly,
aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, reopen.
now I'll move to close this application for a determination later this evening.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed?
All right, now to the beginning of the agenda. We're done with the changes. Item 1 on the agenda is Adios Holdings LLC in 2 Bay Bluff Way in Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-10-1-11. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 330-11. Residence District's Table of Dimension, Residence District's Table of Use Regulations for a required rear yard setback of 20 feet to the porch where 60 feet is required, and a rear yard setback of 28 feet to the dwelling where 60 feet is required. 330-11 for a proposed required front yard setback of 28 feet to the dwelling where 60 feet is required. 330-11 for a proposed, for a required front yard setback off a bluff way of 22.6 feet to the front porch and 25.5 feet to the dwelling where 40 feet is required. 330-84D pyramid height for a pyramid encroachment of 444.46 cubic feet on the south side of the property. 2, for a proposed fire pit in the required front yard, a setback of 23.1 feet where 50 feet is required. 3, for a proposed spa in the required front yard, a setback of 24.1 feet where 50 feet is required. 4, for a proposed swimming pool in the required front yard, a setback of 24.1 feet where 50 feet is required. And, excuse me. And 5, 330-103, corner clearance for a portion of the dwelling located within 50 feet from the intersecting street line. And 5, for a proposed accessory off-street parking spaces. 330-94, schedule of off-street parking space requirements for front yards. And 330-97, supplemental regulations for the private garages and off-street parking areas in residence districts to allow 6 parking spaces to be located throughout the entire property where a maximum of 5 spaces is permitted, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Cornelius Kelly, I'm recused on this application.
Mr. Locascio, you are making the presentation?
I am here, yes. Good evening, members of
Okay.
the board. Brian
Good
Locascio, with the Adam Miller Group, 2462 Main Street, Bridgehampton, attorney for the applicant. As read in the notice, we're here for 2 Bay Bluff and Noyak. The property is 0.501 acres or 21,859 square feet, located in the R20 zoning district. This property itself has benefited from variances in the past for the prior dwellings, including a 1991 variance, which approved a setback off of Bay Bluff of 22 feet for the main dwelling, a setback which we're honoring today. As stated, the applicant is proposing a 2-story single-family dwelling with a swimming pool and accessory structures. The property is located on Peconic Bay to the west and is bound on the north by Bay Bluff Road and on the east by Clearview Drive. The lot is benefited by a functional bulkhead with an excess of 100 linear feet, as well as all improvements located beyond 50 feet from the surface waters, and therefore is outside of Conservation Board jurisdiction. And that was certainly one of the factors that led to the plan before you tonight, is we wanted to situate everything as with respect to the required setbacks from the water. Given the property has essentially 3 front yards and is bound by Bay Bluff and Clearview Drive, this lot is extremely constrained in its building envelope and has a very small, if any, envelope with respect to those setbacks and take it on their face. And as stated, this property has benefited from variances in the past, in which in great part we are keeping in kind with today. The proposed dwelling and structures comply with the lot coverage, the height, and aside from a minor sky plane encroachment along Clearview Drive, otherwise conform to the sky plane regulations. The total sky plane encroachment as read is 444.46 cubic feet, which I view as not a significant request and is in kind with approvals this board has granted in the past. And it's also worth noting that this house was centrally located in a way that the property would respect the pyramids on the, I guess, in north and south side properties to allow for the light and air to flow through to Peconic Bay to Clearview Drive, so as to not, impact those views. 1 Bay Bluff, the property just across Bay Bluff, has also received a variance in 2001 for a 24-foot setback for the house located off of Clearview Drive, which is in line with what we are requesting before you tonight. And as stated before, this property has a variance issued in 1991 that gave a 22-foot setback off of Bay Bluff, which we are honoring. We're slightly retreating from further from Bay Bluff, but we are honoring that setback. In addition, as you drive up and down Clearview Drive, there are many garages located on the road as close as 20 feet. And the portion of our house which abuts Clearview Drive is the garage. So we view that is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and is not introducing a new characteristic. The R20 zoning has a side yard setback of 20 feet and a total required side yard of 45. So had we not been burdened by Bay Bluff Way, which I'll note is a dead-end street with only one other house accessing it, so it's not a heavily traveled road, this lot would otherwise meet the required side yard setbacks for the dwelling. And that's a hardship that's certainly not self-created. And again, as stated, Bay Bluff Road is a dead-end road, so it's not heavily trafficked. So while we are piercing the 50-foot corner radius, we don't view that there's any great impact to any traffic, because there's really only a few cars that will go up and down that, and there's not ample parking to allow for a large number of cars to drive down and remain on this road. As for the parking itself, I still have a hard time understanding the concept or the intent of that code. It contemplates overnight parking. And it almost seems like an arbitrary statement, but in any way, we're only here asking for an additional one parking. We have a driveway accessing a 2-car garage, as well as an additional driveway off of Bay Bluff Road. So while I appreciate Marjorie's interpretation of the code, and we're here before you, I still think a one parking spot request is not a significant relief requested. The home is going to have an IA septic system, and as stated before, will comply with all necessary setbacks from Peconic Bay. Thus will not create any negative impact to the environment. This certainly is not a self-created hardship in that this lot is incredibly burdened by the presence of Peconic Bay and the 2 road frontages. And there's no practical alternative other than the relief requested, which is evidenced by the history of this property, having there never been a house here without the benefit of a variance. I'll open it up to any questions, but we feel that the benefit to the applicant significantly outweighs any impact to the neighborhood. And that's it. I'll certainly answer any questions.
Well, I just want to make a comment initially, Brian.
Yep.
Which is, it's a decent amount of relief when you add it up all together. However, a lot of the setback relief appears to be setback relief from Clearview Drive or the unnamed road being Bay Bluff Way. That appears to be most of the setback relief is from those from those property lines.
Both of which this board has granted relief from. A 35-foot setback for a garage from Clearview and a 22-foot setback from Bay Bluff. So again, these are not new components being issued. I acknowledge that we're increasing closer to Clearview Drive, but we're still, to the extent we can, honoring those variances that you have granted in the past.
Yeah, and we have a bunch of neighbors here who are.
I see that. Yep.
And
we're open to their comments.
They're a little unhappy and want to tell us why they, are unhappy, and that's fine. And we're going to listen to what they all have to say. But what I just want to say before we all get going with that is that I encourage whenever possible neighbors to try to communicate with each other to see if there's a way to resolve issues of concern. I don't know whether that's a possibility or whether there have been any communications, but I just want to mention that at the outset that communications could take place.
We were contacted by one neighbor who had some questions about the application. Upon explaining it, there's no direct objection noted, and that's kind of where that conversation led, and that was the only communication we had from anyone in the neighborhood.
Okay. Katie, you had a question? You're muted.
Yes, Brian, I know you said you were outside of the jurisdiction of the COM board. Do you have like a letter of non-jurisdiction?
I have a letter of non-jurisdiction from conservation. Yeah, if it's not in the file, I certainly can submit that.
Okay.
That was issued.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Brian, I have a question.
Yes.
It's mentioned, Marjorie has mentioned it as a 4-bedroom house, which will help to determine the number of parking spaces. But on your survey, it says proposed 5-bedroom house, which would then alleviate the whole issue of 5 cars versus 6 cars. Now, is it, it's difficult looking at these small little numbers. Is it, Brian, a 5-bedroom house or is it a 4-bedroom house?
What's the square footage?
No, Cindy, you need to mute yourself until we're gonna call on you. Okay, thank you. I promise we'll all have time.
It is a 5-bedroom house, but I want to confirm with the architect.
It is a 5-bedroom house.
Yeah, it is a 5-bedroom house. Thank you.
Well, if it's a 5-bedroom house, then it would be.
I agree. Okay.
It may change the calculations that have been done.
We no longer need the. I agree with
how many cars are permitted, because Marjorie based her comments
off of
a 4-bedroom house, and therefore she gave you, it all added up to 5 cars. But if you change it to a 5-bedroom house, then you would be entitled to your 6 cars, and that would be one less variance that you would need. I mean, I'm
Yeah, no, I agree. And I certainly can confirm that and provide a written submission confirming that. And if so, certainly would remove the request of that relief.
I appreciate that, Brian.
Thank you, Helen. I appreciate it as well.
Okay, yeah, and I just want to read into the record the building department comments. So what comments are from Marjorie Riley, building inspector. So this is what we got. Since the proposed dwelling has a total of 4 bedrooms, which as just discussed is actually 5 bedrooms, the minimum required number of parking spaces is 3. These 3 spaces are permitted to be located within the required front yards. It shall be noted that the number of spaces in a garage counts towards the required number of spaces. The survey prepared by Stephen Barilski, last dated January 13, 2022, shows room for the following parking spaces: 2 spaces in the garage, sufficient room for 2 spaces outside the garage, and sufficient room for 2 spaces in the proposed driveway on the north side of the property, unnamed road, Bay Bluff Way. As such, the total number of parking spaces shown on the entire property is 6. Anyway, that's the comments. Those are the comments we got. Okay. Any
Can
other
I ask a
questions?
question?
Sure.
I'm looking at the survey. Where are you proposing the parking spaces on the north part? Is it inside the Bay Bluff Way?
It would have to be, I mean, that's Marjorie's interpretation of the survey in all candor, but we do have a driveway accessing off of Bay Bluff that is wide enough to support 2 cars, and that is where she's basing that in determination.
Okay, so it would be within the property lines.
Yes, correct.
It's not encroaching on Bay Bluff Way.
No, it would be off street, correct.
Okay.
So I think certainly benefits the neighborhood as a whole, having the cars off the road.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, do I speak?
Brian, what did you say the square footage of the property was?
The square footage of the property is 21,859 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, you had a question?
I just, yes, Brian, do you have any type of aerial maps or anything you can put up on screen so we can see how this would lay out?
I can certainly share a survey right now, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Did I do that properly?
Yep.
Yes.
We
Okay.
see it now.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from members of the board?
My only comment would be, it looks like 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag.
Exactly.
Okay. So I know we have some speakers. I'm not sure who would like to go first. Whoever it is, unless you're an attorney, I have to swear you in.
Karen is first.
Okay. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Good evening. If you can state your address for the record, please.
So I am directly, Christopher, can you turn your volume down? I'm directly the house at 18 Clearview Drive that stares at their house as we enjoy sunset from our front lawn.
Karen, I have to swear you in before you
Oh,
give
I'm
your
sorry.
testimony. Okay, so state your address, please.
Sorry, first time doing this. I'm a virgin.
That's okay. Your address?
18 Clearview Drive.
Okay. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. If you can tell us your comment.
Okay, so we are 18 Clearview Drive. Sorry? Okay. We stare at their house. We are the house that faces them. So a couple of things. One, Bay Bluff Way, where there's only 2 houses on it. It is a public access street down to the bay. So people go there for sunset every single night, and you're allowed to park there and enjoy the beach. So it's not a rarely driven street. There's a lot of people who drive over there. Our biggest concern, as someone had mentioned, yes, I have no doubt it's going to be a beautiful home. And I welcome the fact that it's going to be a really cool modern house. Fabulous. It's a huge house for a really tiny property. And our biggest concern is, especially on the Bay Bluff Way, is the house is encroaching on the actual street too much. So if they dial it down and they can build the exact same house, just make it a little bit smaller, not as wide on all sides. That makes a lot more sense, but is a huge house for a very, very tiny property. If it was on 2 acres, if it was on 3 acres, that'd be great, but it's not. It's on what, 0.6? That's the biggest concern.
Okay,
There's literally not a blade of grass on this house. And Christopher, do you want to talk? He's,
okay, well, we'll do one at a time.
that's my husband.
Before we go to the first, I was with you. Okay, all right. Well, before we go to somebody else, any questions of Karen? If not, Chris, we'll go to you. And I have to swear you in. State your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Christopher O'Brien, 18 Clearview Drive, Noyak, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You can tell us your comments.
Hi, been a resident of the neighborhood for 24 years. Like we said, my concern is, and I'm glad I guess it was the lawyer brought up the fact that there was a variance before, and I understand that, but it was not a 2-story building or a 3-story building at this point. So like my wife reiterated, the concern is, I'm into the character of the neighborhood. I love the neighborhood, been there a long time, put a porch on the front of my house, applied for, with the building department. We love the neighborhood. We're staying there. And I believe whatever house is built should be in with the character of the neighborhood. And, and I'm sure, like they said, they're going to build a nice, wonderful house. Similar to what my wife said, I don't think, looking from the plans, the aerial, there isn't a blade of grass. The old house was a ranch house. While there might have been a variance, it was not nearly the mass of the house that would be there now. Like the lawyer mentioned Judy Axelrod's house, the one across the street, very compliant, or seems to be compliant, or if you saw it, very, very appealing to the neighborhood. She has lots of grass. It is a corner property. I understand how difficult corner properties are. I'm in the air conditioning business. I have had to apply for variances for literally 2 feet for a condensing unit on the side of a house. So I understand the business and I understand the difficulty, but I believe that this is really pushing the envelope. So while I do respect people coming and investing in the neighborhood, and I appreciate it and would love for them to join us, I really think that this is, as one of the board members said, putting 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound box, not a blade of grass, spas, pools, the septic system, as you see, design, there's barely enough room for them to put in all that, underground. Yeah, it's literally puzzle pieces that they figured out how to maximize the space. So thank you for my time. I appreciate it, but I believe it really is, please dial it down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Who would like to go next?
Cindy is next.
Okay, Cindy, you have to unmute yourself. There we go. Just have to swear you in. If you can state your name and address, please.
Hi, Cynthia Walker, and I am 12 Clearview Drive, and I am directly across the street.
And you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can tell us your comments.
I agree with Chris and Karen and most of the neighbors in the neighborhood that this structure is too large for the property. As much as we talk conservation out here, we're blowing it out of the water. We do need to dial it down. I'm an interior designer. I like the look of the house. It's just too big for the property. It's just too big. I mean, it's a tiny property, and they're going to have parking off Clearview and off of Bay. I just think it's too much. I just really feel like they need to reduce that structure. We're building so much out here now, and quite frankly, overbuilding. And this is my business. But yeah, they need to pull this in a little bit, because the house directly next door to them is also overbuilt. He can't even get to his pool without going onto this property right now. So I don't know what's going to happen when this house goes in. It's just too big. You know, most of the homes here have really nice setbacks. There's property. They're not overbuilding. We've got a couple, but this one's really taken it to the limit. I think it's a mistake. That's really all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Who would like to go next?
you. Aaron is next.
Aaron, you guys have to unmute yourself. There you go. Okay, just have to swear you in. If you could state your name and address, please.
Aaron Zonaritis, 122 Old Stone Highway, East Hampton, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And Aaron, you mentioned you live in East Hampton. Are you a property owner adjacent to this
I
property?
represent. No, I represent the architect for the owner. I don't need to. I don't have any further comment. I'm only here to answer questions as they might arise.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll hold off on you, and we'll see in a little bit whether Brian wants you to tell us a few things. But anyway, who is next, Charles?
Gene is next.
Gene is next. Okay. Gene, you need to unmute yourself.
There it is. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, Gene, if you just state your name and address, please.
Gene Polito, 45 Shady Rest Drive.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And are you an adjacent property owner?
I'm not an adjacent property owner, but I'm a secretary treasurer for the Homeowners Association of Sunset Shores.
Okay.
And I'm representing a couple of people on this, so I have some comments from them, including the president and of the association. And and I've talked to several people in the neighborhood, and I have yet to find one that approves of this structure. And that's the truth. I'm swearing to tell the truth. I haven't heard anybody that said they approve of what's being done here. So let me read this. This is from the president of our association. And he says the developer can't violate the town building codes, but it also can't violate the rules of the subdivision, which are legally documented. The original developer placed CNRs on all properties of Sunset Shores. These CNRs run with the land. Paragraph 9 states that any owner within the map can enforce the CNRs.
Okay. And Gina, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want you to understand that CNRs on this property or on the adjacent properties, that is a matter between the property owners. That is not something that we enforce at the Zoning Board of Appeals. You can bring it to our attention, that's fine, but unfortunately that is for another venue, if that's what the claim is.
Well, this is it's part of what we thought was protection for the properties.
I understand, but it's not something that the Zoning Board of Appeals can address.
I'd like to get the time to consider these. The project needs.
Yeah, but we can't do anything about it. Okay, you can feel free to give us the information, but we can't do anything about CNRs. That's another venue.
All right, the project needs to be built within the strict guidelines of town building codes, and also for the effect it will have on the bluff and the other environmental impacts. After reviewing these documents, it appears the project is pushing all the setbacks and boundaries to more than half what the ordinance is supposed to be. We are concerned at the size of this house and the piece of this property. It's huge. It's just not right.
Cindy, can you please unmute yourself? We can still hear you. Thank you.
We're also concerned about the effects direct on the neighbors. And we're not against building beautiful homes. It should not push the envelope this far. This just feels like a blatant desire to get what they want, no matter how much damage it does in the neighborhood. The house that was there before this, as been said, was a small house. It didn't obstruct anything. It was almost like it wasn't there. So whatever they did it right, but it doesn't compare to this house. So that you can't use that as an example to excuse what you're doing. Now, this is by Andrew Kudich, which is the president of our homeowner station. I have another homeowner, which is Judith Axelrod, who lives directly across the street on Bay Bluff, at 19 Bay Bluff Way. She says, I'm objecting to this flagrant disregard of zoning requirements and setbacks. The proposed house will be much closer to Clearview Drive than any house, including the new ones that front Clearview Drive. And also because this is a corner lot. The setback requirements are important to safely turn in and out of Bay Bluff Way. As was also said earlier, this is a heavily used road. Bay Bluff is access to the beach there, and it's a sunset. Everybody comes to see the sunset, not just community people. They come from all over. Everybody comes to see the sunsets here. This is not a small travel. This is a lot of travel on that little road. It's a very busy place. So making those corners and the corner triangle thing you're trying to do just runs just totally, absolutely opposite to what should be done there. Now, and for me, I'm in agreement with all the above, and I'm also objecting to the pyramid thing. I tried to put a garage next to my house, and I had all the approval of all the neighbors, and there was a 2-foot difference in the pyramid law, and I was refused. So they let me put a shed there, which is still big enough to accommodate a car.
Accused by whom? This board?
Yeah, well, not this. This was years ago. This is back in 2007. I had a lawyer and everything, and I lost. For 2 feet on a garage that everybody said was okay. So this makes me look like Johnson. And I could show you. There are other examples in our neighborhood that have had the same issues with this board, and I can cite them if you want me to go through them. But and for little things. One was 18 inches. Wanted to take a spot that they had that was 18 inches over the property line. Well, the line that she was over, she also owns. So she was right in her own property, and yet took her 2 years to resolve that. 2 years on her own property. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I can't speak to other applications.
I know, but I'm saying, I'm just giving you examples of how everybody in this development has obeyed the rules. They've obeyed the rules. When I called the house that's built next to it, that Bud Goldman lives in now, the one right next to it that you're proposing here, is I called to see how many variances he got, and I was told none.
Could you submit whatever variance you said you were denied? Because when I look at your property, it looks like there was a variance in 67 granted for the house. I don't see a denial for a garage.
I didn't have the house in 67.
No, but
I hired a
but
lawyer.
I don't see a denial.
Well, I'll look it up and I'll get it for you.
Yeah, give us the information. We'd love to hear about it.
I'm not going to build a garage now. I already had the shed, so it's meaningless in any case. But I'll do that.
Well, I mean, you're saying that we denied an application.
Not you, but whoever was there at the time.
Our board. So I was there at the time in 2007, if that's when it was.
Well, the lawyer told me that there was a no.
Yeah,
I don't
see that.
They had said I have other room on my property.
It's conceivably possible that the application was withdrawn. That's the only thing I'm thinking.
I don't see that either. Yeah.
I only went by what he said. That's what I was trying to do.
Okay. Well, whatever you have,
I'll look that up. Okay. So I'm afraid that getting these variants would also set a precedent for the rest of the community, which is undergoing constant construction these days. I mean, these little homes are being bought up and they're being turned over. And you'll find that 90% of the homes in Sunset Shore are modest in size. I could show you a picture of it if you can see this.
Yeah. And Gene, you can submit anything you'd like in writing to us, anything at all.
They're not big homes. There's a couple that, but they don't do what this house does. I mean, they were within the guidelines, all of them. You know, and I think they should be obeying the zoning guidelines. That's definitely excessive, and it shouldn't be allowed. It really shouldn't. It's just excessive. And I guess that's all I have to say. I'll get you my stuff and for the other thing.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. Thank you for your comments. Okay.
Emery is next.
Yep.
Emery.
Okay, Emery, just have to swear you in. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
There we go. And if you can state your name and address for the record, please. Emery, can you state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Emery DeCastro, 27 Clearview Drive.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Give us your comments.
Yes, very quickly. We are a homeowner there. We built ours in 2012. That property's been in the family since the 50s. When we went to our architect to design that home, he suggested a huge home. We specifically said, no, we do not want variances. We do not want to ruin the character of the neighborhood. He then came back with a new plan, and the side yard variances were not needed whatsoever. And so, again, a good creative architect can be within the variances that are there, stay within the character of the neighborhood, and still give their client what they would like. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Adios Holdings LLC for property located at 2 Bay Bluff Way and Noyak? If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
No hands. Okay. All right. Brian, want to give you an opportunity to respond. Also, I'm not sure whether you want to have Aaron say a few words.
Yeah, I mean, a few points I can come back on. Again, as I stated earlier, we comply with the pyramid with respect to Bay Bluff and the neighbor adjoining to the south. So while I appreciate the hardship of the setback from Bay Bluff Way, had that just been an adjoining property owner, this wouldn't be an issue. And this would be an as of right structure with respect to Bay Bluff Way. So as it pertains to any potential blocking of the view from the neighbor across the street, you know, we are complying with the pyramid because we appreciate the value of that view and we do not want to pierce into that sky plane. As one of the members said, we certainly are obeying the laws because we're here before you. You know, none of this has been constructed. We're seeking the necessary approval. Given the hardships of this lot, the 2 front yards, the waterfront. This property is burdened by a non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer along the shore. That's certainly being complied with or building outside of that. So we're certainly not intending to diminish or impede in any environmentally sensitive areas. And as I stated earlier, this proposes within the allowable lot coverage. So while I appreciate it may be a large home, it's certainly not out of character. If you drive up and down this road, we just have a unique situation here in that we have 3 front yards, but we have front 2 streets, and it significantly impacts our northern property line. It leaves almost no buildable envelope, and we're complying with variances that have been granted by this board for this lot and honoring those existing setbacks.
Okay. Well, I hear some very unhappy neighbors, and they would like to see the proposal be scaled back in terms of having less variance. I'm not sure where other members of this board are on that. But you know, I think if nothing else, it would be helpful to have a line of communication with the neighbors to see maybe if some things can be done to revise the application to address their concerns. That's a suggestion. You know, it can happen. The line of communication can happen or not happen. All I will say is that, you know, if it doesn't happen, then we have to decide one way or the other. And I don't know exactly where the members of the board are in this application, but we certainly have some very unhappy neighbors.
We're certainly open to communication, and prior to tonight, you know, we had not received any correspondence from the neighborhood, so we didn't have a chance to address any of these concerns. And when I reached out to Candace earlier today, she informed me that no written submissions have been submitted. So, you know, while we certainly hear and appreciate the comments, and I'm happy to take them back to the applicant and see how we can incorporate them. You know, this is the first we're hearing of them. So,
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Well, it's if I may speak, this is Karen. It's the first you're hearing about, sorry.
Okay, Karen, hold on a second, okay?
Sure.
All right, so we have a structure with doing these things.
No problem.
And I will get to you momentarily, okay? So are there any questions and members of the board of Brian or Katie or Anthony at this point of Brian?
Yeah, I have a question, Brian. How big is the open courtyard that's on the survey in the like middle of the house?
Let me see if I can pull that up on the plans very quickly. Not, I will defer to Aaron, but I may be able to get you that answer very quickly.
More than that.
That just seems like an opportunity to reconfigure.
Yeah, with respect to that component, that was something that our client was trying to create, to have an outdoor area that was kind of insulated from the neighborhood to kind of reduce any potential impacts of sounds and create an outdoor space while still, shielding it from the neighbors. It's, it's a constrained lot, so there's not a lot of opportunity for outdoor space.
Yeah, but the whole waterfront is full of outdoor space with the pool and the patio and the porch and the outdoor barbecue.
Understood. I can certainly take that comment back to the applicant.
I'm sorry, Michael, go ahead.
No, please, go ahead.
I would be interested in Brian going back to the owners and bringing some of the comments of the neighbors, opening communication, and then coming back to us for a rediscussion of the whole matter.
Brian, I would agree with Susan on that as well.
Okay.
Me as well.
We can certainly request that the record be left open, and I take this back to the applicant.
I hope so. Before we say adios to the application.
Just while I have you, are there any other specific comments or concerns from any of the other board members who haven't spoke yet? Just so I can make sure we go back with the full. And I think it's pretty clear what the comments are, but just want to make sure.
Yeah, very often, today we see where perhaps a setback variance was offered in the past, and then the new structure, which would like to enjoy the benefits of that previous variance, comes and is at a significantly different scale. And I think that's what I hear the neighbors saying. They understand that there was a variance given in the past, but for a one-story house, and now we have a two-story house with a courtyard, is giving the owners some yard, but it's not, covering so much of the lot that it's not creating any appearance of a yard in the neighborhood. So their feedback is very strong, and I think you need to talk to them about that.
Thank you.
So do we want to leave this open for another appearance and schedule it for an upcoming meeting, or is there anything else that we want to do right now, Mr. Chair?
I was bumped off for about 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you missed Michael. He was good.
No, I heard everybody. Nobody could hear me. That's all or see me.
Oh, okay.
But okay. All right. So I guess it sounds like we're going to be continuing the public hearing to another date, and I think that makes perfect sense under the circumstances. And in the meantime, Brian, I encourage you to reach out to each one of the neighbors who spoke tonight, and or submitted anything in writing.
I also welcome them contacting me. You received my contact information from written submission. All I really have is mailing addresses. So, if there's anything the neighbors here can do to reach out to me directly, I would greatly appreciate that to open that dialogue. Okay,
very good. All right. So we encourage that there to be a dialogue, and we were just gonna pretty much put it over. In the meantime, do you want to have Aaron say a few words since he's here?
if he has anything to add, I'm happy to let him speak. Otherwise, if he feels like we addressed the points.
I do. I think, Brian, you did a good job explaining the position.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, very good. And then the only other question I have is when you want to come back.
I mean, what's the next available date you could have this on for?
We have time on our next meeting, which is March 17th.
3/17.
Yeah.
Aaron, does that seem like sufficient time for us to regroup and potentially make some modifications?
It depends on what the modifications are that we
No,
agree on.
Understood.
Yeah, and we have room, we have room on the agenda on March 17th, but then we don't have room on the first meeting in April. So if it isn't March 17th, then it would be April 21st, our second meeting. So we could put it on for March 17th, and if it turns out that you're not ready, then
Yeah, well,
at that point, we'll put you over till April.
I would respectfully request that, and I will give you advance notice if we do need to adjourn.
Okay.
So
Very good.
thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments? If not, Mike, it's yours.
Okay, so we will keep this open and for a reappearance on March 17th. And we'll see you then.
Can I speak or not yet?
Yeah, if you'd like to say a few words, Karen, sorry, I forgot to get back.
Please.
Sure, Karen. So yeah, if you want to say a few words, if you want to just put on your video so we can see you.
It's not allowing me to put the video on.
Oh, okay, then we can just hear you. That's
Okay.
fine.
Just also so you know, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, so I don't know if you guys are planning on hitting the pubs.
We're going to be here.
Okay.
Sorry to say,
No
we're going to
pubs
be
for
here.
us.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll be
You know-
hitting the pubs after.
yeah.
Exactly, or during. You know, Brian, the first we heard of you or anybody was, we saw a little sign in the dirt a couple of weeks ago. We didn't have any information on you. And then there was a packet sent, I know, to everybody. It's a weekend house, so we didn't get it. And I don't have access to it because it's the winter and we're not at our house full time. There is one thing that I did want to bring up, and that is with the pyramid that you're talking about is the roof. So it is a 2-story, I understand, but now that it looks like there's a roof deck, because it looks like there are glass walls on the drawings. So now it's technically like a 3-story.
It's not advertised as being a 3-story.
It's not a 3-story home.
But is that a roof deck? Are those glass walls on the roof?
So there is a roof deck and there are glass railings that are 3 feet tall.
Right, so there's a roof deck. So now we have people even more obstructing the view.
It's still below the maximum allowable height, though. So we're not asking for any height variance.
Yeah, and this is part of the discussion.
I appreciate the point, Karen. I'm happy to discuss this with you. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so yes, we have to get the packet. We don't have the packet to have your information. I could look you up. I could find you. So.
Yeah. Brian, can you get Karen a copy of
Absolutely. Yep. My office phone number is 631.
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
631.
537.
Okay.
1155.
Okay.
Feel free to call me tomorrow morning, and I can, get your best address, so we can get that packet to you.
Okay, perfect.
We go off of what's on file with the assessor and what's provided to the town, because that's what's public record. So. We'll get it to you. If you want to provide an email, I can send it that way as well.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yep, great. Okay, so we'll speak. Thanks, Karen.
Okay,
Thank you.
So I believe we had a motion and a second. Who was the second?
Second.
Second, okay. All right, Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly recused himself and chair votes aye. Thank you all for your comments this evening. Have a good rest of your night.
You have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
In 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Item 3 on the agenda is Stephen and Amanda Siciliano, 24 Bay Avenue in Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-5-3-38. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-84D pyramid height for encroachment in the amount of 267.8 cubic feet for a proposed one-story addition to an existing dwelling on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening, Tiffany.
Good evening, everyone. Tiffany Scarlato, 45 Division Street, Sag Harbor, New York, for the applicants Stefan and Maria Siciliano. The proposal before the board tonight is for a variance from section 330-84D pyramid height for a proposed one-story addition to a residence on a non-conforming lot in the R40 zoning district. The lot's 7,572 square feet and is 50 feet wide. The proposal also includes the removal of a portion of the existing decking, which exists 3.5 feet from the property line currently, and we're utilizing that area for the construction of a 140 square foot addition within the footprint of the existing deck on the northern side of the property. The project also includes 40 square feet of second floor balcony, which isn't subject to the jurisdiction of this board, but it is included in the wetlands permit that was received, administrative wetlands permit, which was dated 10/7/21, permit number WAP 21071, which I think the board has a copy of. The sanitary, let's see. The purpose of the addition is just to add a little bit of area to the kitchen so that they can have a dining room table. Currently, the kitchen is so small that they can't have a dining room table where 4 people can sit without having to get up and open the refrigerator. The sanitary system on the property was upgraded in 2014 pursuant to the last approval of the Conservation Board and this board, which was for a second-story addition to the house to make it a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. I don't believe there will be any change to the character of the neighborhood. All of the lots are from a small 1931 subdivision which prior to the advent of zoning, and they're all non-conforming and all break pyramid on some level. Because the lot's only 50 feet wide, there's really no way to even add a small addition to the residence, which is situate 3.9 feet from the lot line without any kind of relief from this board. The variance requested is not substantial. It's a request, as I said, for just under 140 square feet of pyramid of 140 square foot addition, which equates to 267.8 cubic feet of relief from this board. I don't think that the situation was self-created. Obviously, the lots are small, the houses are small, and I think people are just trying to make their way with these houses and make them just a little bit more habitable. And the extra 140 square feet would definitely give them that ability.
Okay, thank you. Minimal amount of pyramid relief, just minimal. But I want to hear if any of the neighbors want to give us comments. Any questions or members of the board, or Katie or Anthony?
I went to the property. It's very narrow. And this like 3-foot border on the side that you're trying to build on, which butts up to a driveway. And so I'd be interested to hear if the neighbor on that side has had any comments to you.
We do have an email. I can submit this to the board, but we did, the owners are on as well. And they did communicate with a neighbor who didn't have an issue with those plans. Okay. I can send that to the board's edification, but
if you would, please.
We're fine with it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Tiffany? Is there anyone who is waiting to be heard this evening on Zoom in connection with the application of Siciliana? This is for property located at 24 Bay Avenue in Noyak. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand. And Matthew, I'm not sure if you're waiting to be heard.
Yeah, yes.
You are. Okay, so
I'm just here to answer questions. Oh, sorry. My name is Matthew.
You're here to answer questions. Unless you're an attorney, I just have to swear you in. You can state your name and address.
My name is Matthew Pecora. Address is 418 Thornycroft Avenue, Staten Island, New York.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, if you can tell us your comments.
I'm just here, I'm the architect on this project to answer any questions that people may have.
Okay. I don't have any questions considering the minimal amount of pyramid relief we're talking about here. I can't see any way that 267.8 cubic feet of pyramid relief could have a negative impact on adjacent property owners. But, if there's someone who would like to make a comment, they're welcome to. Okay. Any questions of Mr. Pecora? Is there anyone else who is waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with the application of Siciliano? If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
No hands.
Tiffany,
Okay.
is Maria your client?
Yes, that's Marie and Stefan Siciliano.
Okay.
Those are the homeowners.
Yeah. Do your clients want to say anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. I don't think they need to. Okay. All right. Well, Susan, it is yours.
Okay, so I move to close the public hearing with written submissions due by March 18th with a decision on April 7th.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for your comments. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see here. We're on to the decision calendar.
We are. I have several of them.
Good.
So if you want me to get started, I will get started.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have the determination in the matter of the application of 12 Red Creek LLC. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-175-129. This application is for property located at 10 Red Creek Road, Hampton Bays. Applicant requests a determination that the subject premises is held in single and separate ownership and made such a showing based on the record. Therefore, this board finds that the subject premises located at 10 Red Creek Road, Hampton Bays, town of Southampton, I already specified the tax map number, is a single and separate 11,579 square foot lot as shown in the survey prepared by John C. Ehlers, land surveyor, last revised September 28, 2021, and is thus entitled to relief pursuant to Town Code 330-115D. This decision notes that the current common ownership of either of the subject premises, or either the subject premises or the adjacent lot, must be separated within 1 year of this decision.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
You're muted, Bob.
Aye. Sorry.
Sure. Thank you. Chair votes aye. I next have the determination in the matter of the application of Drew Fine. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-103-314.42. This application is for property located at 116 Oliver's Cove Lane, Watermill. Applicant requests variances in connection with an existing sports court. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief to the applicant from the following provisions of the Town Code for a sports court constructed without the benefit of a building permit. 1, 33011 Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 12 feet where 30 feet is required. 33083C yards and 33076D placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts to allow the sports court to remain within the required side yard for a principal building as shown on the survey prepared by John Barilski of Barilski Land Surveying, Inc., last updated June 29, 2021. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including 1, the maintenance by the applicant and all subsequent owners of the vegetation/screening of the sports court, and 2, the legalization of the outdoor barbecue and shower.
Second.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I next have a determination in the matter of the application of Rundle and Brewer. This is property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-294-217. This application is for property located at 116B Ponquag Avenue, Hampton Bays. Applicant requests variances in connection with a proposed one-story addition, as well as to legalize decking and a shed built without the benefit of a building permit. While this board does not condone construction done without a permit, it does find that this application, as modified, passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief to the applicant from the following provisions of the Town Code. For a proposed one-story addition on the east side of the house, relief from 330-84D height for a proposed pyramid encroachment of 96 cubic feet. 2, to legalize an existing screened-in deck. 1, relief from 330-84D height, a pyramid encroachment of 102 cubic feet. 2, relief from 330-115C continuance for a principal rear yard setback of 15.3 feet to 5 feet and a minimum principal side yard setback from 5.1 feet to 4.6 feet. 3, to legalize the deck on the north side of the dwelling. 1, relief from 330-11 residential district's table of dimensional regulations for an accessory rear yard of 5.9 feet where 10 feet is required. 4, to legalize a shed located on the required front yard. 1, relief from 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback from 10 feet to 9.5 feet and an accessory front yard setback from 50 feet to 10.5 feet. 2, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow the shed to remain within the required front yard for the principal building, and 330-84D, pyramid height, for an encroachment in the amount of 22 cubic feet. And 5, for a proposed roof renovation, raising the roof line, 330-84D, pyramid height, for an encroachment in the amount of 385 cubic feet, 333 cubic feet existing, and 52 cubic feet proposed. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the floor plans and elevations prepared by Edward P. Armis, dated June 22nd, 2021. Pyramid diagrams prepared by Edward P. Armis, dated February 24th, 2022. And survey prepared by Jason D. Lettingham, Scalise Land Surveying, dated December 29th, 2020, last revised January 4th, 2022. This decision is conditioned upon the removal of the deck and outdoor shower on the south of the dwelling prior to the issuance of any certificates, and is also subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. I next have a determination in the matter of the application of Alice Greenwald. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 9003122. This application is for property located at 148 Edgemere Drive, North Sea. Applicant requests variances to legalize various structures built by a prior owner without the benefit of a building permit. As modified, this application passes the standard set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief to the applicant from Town Code 330-11 Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations. 1, to legalize a wood deck on the north side of the dwelling front. 330-83A4 yards to allow a deck higher than 1 foot above ground level to be located within the required front yard. And 2, 330-11 Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 8.7 feet where 10 feet is required. 2, to legalize a wood deck on the south side of the dwelling rear. 1, 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback of 5.6 feet where 10 feet is required. And 2, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow a portion of the deck to be located within the required minimum and total side yard for the principal building. And 3, to legalize the outdoor shower, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow a portion of the outdoor shower to be located within the required minimum and total side yard for the principal building on a non-conforming lot as shown on the survey dated November 20th, 2019, last revised February 17th, 2022 by John Borilski of Borilski Land Surveying. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as the applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the removal or relocation of the shed on the premises.
Second.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Daley,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Abstain.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, next one I have is the decision on the application of RCF Properties LLC. This is the property located at tax map number 900-100-3-2.11. This application is for property located at 454 Seven Ponds, Toad Road, Watermill. Applicant requested variance in connection with rear yard coverage for a proposed tennis court. Applicant increased the setbacks several times in order to reduce the percentage of coverage. As modified, this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 33077D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a proposed rear yard coverage of 43.8%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted for a sunken 55 by 110-foot tennis court, as shown in the survey prepared by Lester Holden, Squire Holden, Weisenbacher, and Smith, last revised December 28, 2021. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daley,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
No.
Ms. Kern.
I'm going to vote no because I can't justify voting to approve such a large variance when, as stated by the applicant's counsel, there is a conforming location for the tennis court on this property, even if in his opinion it's less desirable. So I vote no.
Mr. Tuthill,
No.
Mr. Macedonia,
I vote aye. I've had the opportunity to review the prior 12.2, 12.16, and 1.6 videos. I'm fine with it.
okay, and chair votes aye. Okay, next we have a determination, I have a determination on the application of 85 Eastway LLC. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-233-21. This application is for property located at 85 Eastway Drive, Shinnecock Hills. Applicant requests variances in connection with the relocation of an existing dwelling, which will become part of a proposed addition, an existing swimming pool, and parking. Applicant had initially proposed to convert the existing house into a barn in an effort to preserve the historic structure. But because of its size in relation to the proposed new dwelling, the board suggested that the two structures be connected. As modified, this application passes standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code to the applicant as follows. For the relocation of the existing dwelling, which will become part of the proposed addition. 1, Town Code 33011, Residential District Table of Dimensional Regulations for a required front yard setback of 34.70 feet where 80 feet is required. And 2, for a required rear yard setback of 81.26 feet where 100 feet is required. 2, for the existing swimming pool. 1, Town Code 33011 for an accessory distance from street setback front yard of 63.43 feet where 90 feet is required. 3, for the parking area. Town Code 33094, schedule of off-street parking spaces requirements for residential uses to allow 5 accessory parking spaces in the required front yard where 3 spaces are required. And 4, for a portion of the attached deck. Town Code 33083A5. Well, actually, I have a note. It might be 33083-4A. So I'm not sure which whether A4 or A5. Maybe it's both. Katie, do you want to clarify that?
Yep, I will. I'll clarify.
Okay.
Not right now. I don't know.
Let's make sure whatever it is correct. To allow a deck higher than 1 foot above ground level to be located within the required front yard. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Francis X. Carl, surveyor, last revised December 18, 2021, and the plans prepared by architect Alberto Anastasio of Mineo Carmichael Design, last dated November 11, 2021. This decision is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for require for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
No,
Mr. Daly,
No.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio. Bob, you're muted.
Sorry, abstain.
Okay, thank you. Chair votes aye. Next, I have a determination on the application of Kenneth and Nicole Cool Seif. This is for property located at Suffolk County tax map number 900-233-236. This application is for property located at 191 Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike, Bridgehampton. Applicant requests variances in connection with the conversion of an existing dwelling into an accessory building and the conversion of an existing accessory building into a dwelling. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board finds, under this set of facts and circumstances, that the proposed accessory building, which currently is the primary residence, is a subordinate or incidental building pursuant to Town Code 335 definitions because of its size and proportion to the main dwelling and its use, being 30% of the size of the proposed primary residence, which is currently the existing accessory building. This board additionally grants relief to the applicant from Town Code 33011 Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal minimum side yard setback of 14.5 feet, where 20 feet is required to allow for the conversion of the 1.5-story building into a single-family dwelling, and for an accessory distance from street setback, front yard, of 17.9 feet, where 50 feet is required to allow for the conversion of the dwelling, 1-story building, into an accessory building. The proposed primary residence and accessory building will have the dimensional requirements on location as shown in the survey prepared by Gary Ben Surveyor, dated December 21st, 2017, last revised on November 10th, 2021, and the plans of TBD Architecture and Design Studio PLLC by Joshua Sam Weiselberg, architect, which was submitted with the application and are incorporated herein. This relief is conditioned on the proposed accessory building not including either sleeping or cooking facilities by the applicants or future owners of the subject property. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to the conditions of such other permits as the applicants have already or have heretofore required or may otherwise be necessary for final approval of the proposed primary residence and accessory building to be built, both of which will be remodeled from their current uses at the subject property.
Second.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
I,
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. That's all I've got.
All right. That one. Decision of the application of Eileen Pywanski Glickman and Stephen Glickman for property located at 9 Cedarfield Lane, West Hampton, New York. I'm going to read the requested relief at the end. The property is totals 46,530 square feet and is located in the R40 zoning district. Benefits from a certificate of occupancy for a one-family dwelling, pool and deck. And it also benefits from a certificate of compliance for a tennis court and another certificate of compliance for a basketball court. At the public hearing, the agent for the applicant, Steve Caputo, testified that they had filed for an application for a deck and outdoor shower with the building department. And during that process, it was discovered that the previously approved basketball and tennis courts should have requested variances, but they were approved without. Meets the 5-part test. Therefore, in the interest of justice, and for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants relief from Town Code 330-11 Residence District Table of Use Regulations for an existing asphalt court located within the required front yard, a setback of 63.5 feet where 70 feet is required, and 2, an existing rear lot coverage of 20.9 feet, 20.9% where 20%, as shown in the survey made by Colonial Surveying PC dated January 21st, 2022, which shows the existing structures. The granting of this relief is subject to the conditions of such other permits as the applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the structures on the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Abstain.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Who did I forget? Ms. Burgess,
Ms. Burgess.
How can you forget Helen?
Really? Okay.
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye. Okay, any other decisions? If not,
Motion to close.
motion to close. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.